What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Chris on the show. Chris, thanks for coming on.
Oh yeah, no problem, man.
It's the second time we've had you on. First time since the Kobe episode, so good to have you on. Great time to have you on as NFL free agency is losing its mind. We're going to call this episode the 2020 NFL Free Agency Frenzy.
Sounds good to me, man. It's definitely been a wild ride so far.
Hell yeah. Let's get into the Tom Brady news. I mean, that's the biggest story. We've seen Joe Montana wear a Chiefs jersey, right? We've seen McNabb in a Redskins. We've seen Peyton Manning in a Broncos. Brett Favre in a Vikings and Jets. I never thought we were going to see Tom Brady in a different jersey, but now he's going to be rocking the Tampa Bay Bucks colors. What do you think about that? Pretty crazy.
I mean, it's definitely it's gonna change the whole dynamic of the NFL in my opinion because Brady is such a polarizing figure in the sport for decades now.
Yeah.
A complete dynasty over there in New England, and I just never thought he was gonna leave. I never pictured him in a different uniform. But I'm definitely anxious, because I don't think he's ever had weapons to throw to like he's got over there in Tampa Bay now. So I'm kind of curious to see if he makes them real contenders this year or not.
Yeah, and speaking of weapons, this offseason we heard Tom Brady say multiple times that he wanted to play with Antonio Brown. What if the Bucks add Antonio Brown to that receiving corps?
I mean, that's just another thread. If he can just, buckle down and grow up.
Yeah, get his head right. Yeah.
Go out there and play your game, man. He's wasting a lot of valuable time that he's not going to get back. And, he is going to regret it one day. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
That he wasted all this time playing games and clowning around instead of getting down to business and playing football. But if they had Antonio Brown, there's going to be some serious noise made by the Bucks, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got Chris.
As long as Brady stays upright and healthy.
Yeah, that's a good point. The offensive line has to protect him. But much better weapons than he had last year in New England. Once he lost Gronk, once Josh Gordon left and Antonio Brown got cut, I mean, who is Brady throwing to? An injured Julian Edelman? A rookie N'Keal Harry? I mean, not a lot.
Right. And I kind of feel like part of that is what makes Brady, one of, if not the GOAT, is that he seems like he's always played with a Band-Aid squad.
Yep.
He's never really had, more than one weapon. And if they, the most dynamic weapon I think I've seen him have was Randy Moss the year they broke the record.
Yep.
And you can just imagine what kind of damage they could have done, had they started earlier in their careers together. But, Brady's always, found a way to compete and be, a leader and put his team in a position to win a championship almost every year since he's became the starter in New England.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to imagine him with, a speedy receiver like, Godwin and then
Perriman, then Mike Evans. Yeah.
O.J. Howard.
Yup, O.J. Howard.
That's going to be ridiculous over there.
Cameron Brate, too. Brate's going to go off. Another underrated aspect, I mean, you talk about Randy Moss, but what about Rob Gronkowski, who might be the greatest tight end to ever do it? I mean, that dude, you could just throw it in that direction and Gronk was going to come down to it. He was a nightmare matchup on defense. I think it's easy to take Gronk for granted, but that was a big part of Brady's success, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, he even had, they left a lot of time left out on that field, that they can't get back, with the injuries. And just imagine if Gronk would have been healthy all those years, how much more dominant they could have possibly been.
Yeah.
It's great to think about. And I've never seen, Brady not with Belichick, so I'm kind of curious to see, is it Belichick or is it Brady?
Yeah. Well,
That's always been a question in people's minds, or if they got separated, neither one of them would be worth anything, so I guess we're about to find out, aren't we?
yeah, absolutely. I think we're gonna come to find out that both are pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I,
I'm thinking they'll make it work,
yeah,
for sure.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if both the Bucks and the Patriots made the playoffs next year. Um, you know, I think Tom Brady, Tampa Bay is a weird fit on paper. You're like, just like the jersey, and it surprised a lot of people. But if you look at it on paper, I mean, he's going to play for head coach Bruce Arians, an up-and-coming play caller in Byron Leftwich. He's got weapons around him, weapons galore. And an underrated aspect is Tampa Bay's never really had an established culture since the early 2000s. Brady, what he brings not only with his play and his arm, but with his mentality and his leadership. He's going to come in and change the culture in Tampa Bay like immediately, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think that I'm just so baffled by it, to be honest, that he's even there to even say that he's going to be part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
But he's definitely going to bring a different mindset and a different tone into that locker room from day one, for sure.
Absolutely. And then looking at it from the Patriots side, they lose, the GOAT Tom Brady, or arguably the GOAT. So they're looking to fill a quarterback position. I mean, there's not a lot of options. You're talking about Andy Dalton, Cam Newton, who we're not sure about his health. Jameis Winston could be a possibility. Maybe a trade for someone like Jacoby Brissett. Or, what's his name? That young Jarrett Stidham, who's already there. What do you think it would be the best option for the Patriots for replacing Brady?
I mean, in my opinion, I've got two options that would top my list probably for this situation, and for year one of this maybe so-called rebuild, or part of a rebuild they're going to have to go through. Which is, if you can get a healthy Cam Newton, if Cam Newton is healthy, he's going to automatically, give you a chance to win just from his pure athleticism and, being a veteran quarterback in the league. He's been to the playoffs. He's been to the Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to win.
Yep.
I think that would be a great option and probably my number one option. And my number two option would probably have to be, I would maybe push for a trade for Jacoby Brissett. He already knows that offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in that system, I feel like he's getting better each year at being an actual quarterback. He was always a good backup, but I think he's definitely asserting to starter capabilities on a lot of teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
He would be an upgrade on, a lot of teams. So, and with him being familiar with the offense, I feel like you wouldn't have as much of a gap there to get people on the same page.
Yeah.
Because everybody out there is used to Tom walking out on the field and like, okay, he already knows what's going on. We're following his lead.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to be this new guy. All the veteran players that are on the team to kind of get this guy up to speed. And it's going to be a totally different feel. It
is. And I like the Jacoby Brissett move, too, because if you look at the Colts, they seem to be on the about to sign Phillip Rivers. So if they're going to go the Phillip Rivers route, then why not get something for Jacoby Brissett in a trade and, see, I don't know that you need both Brissett and Phillip Rivers there.
Right.
So, if the Patriots do something like that, whether it's Brissett or Cam Newton, even Jameis Winston, I feel like you put him with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick, and they'll get more out of him than he's done in his career, especially coming off that LASIK surgery on his eyes. So, who knows what they'll do. I'll tell you one thing: if the Patriots go Andy Dalton, I'm not going to be buying anything they're selling.
No, not at all. I think he's on his last legs. I think he's more of a backup veteran option, backup. Like, if your starter goes down, hey, here's a veteran who's been around. Maybe if he has enough weapons, he can get you somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, because he's not terrible, but he's definitely not what I would want for my team right now.
Yeah, there's nothing exciting about that, about Dalton. Since we brought it up, let's go to the Colts. Do you think Phillip Rivers is a good fit in Indy?
I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think having T.Y. over there,
Yep.
some of the other weapons that they have, I think, do they still have Funchess?
I'm looking it up right now. I gotta see what all they have, but I mean, you look at it, their offensive line is a beast, so it's going to be much better at protecting him.
And he's never had that in Los Angeles, San Diego, He's never had a line like this.
They still have Devin Funchess, T.Y. Hilton. I think Funchess is a free agent, though, and Eric Ebron, too. So, we'll see.
Think about bringing both of those guys back.
Yeah. Man, speaking of Eric Ebron, as a Bears fan, I'm upset that we went and got Jimmy Graham. I wanted Eric Ebron, man. Why are we going Jimmy Graham over Eric Ebron? Ebron just had a great year last year.
I don't know. I really can't tell you.
That made me mad. That's the one move this
While
offseason.
we are on the topic of tight ends,
Yeah.
this is kind of a bittersweet for me. Jason Witten has moved on.
Yeah, to the Raiders.
And I love the Blake Jarwin signing because I feel like he's a beast. Dak called him the most athletic guy on that team, and I've seen flashes of what that kid can do. And I feel like he was held back and didn't get his opportunities because Witten was there. And yes, while Witten, made some plays and, he was that veteran presence, he couldn't make big plays for you. He's slow out there now.
Yeah.
He can still catch the ball, but, I think the Cowboys are wanting to run that more explosive offense, and they need to. They have all the tools there to do it. So I love the Blake Jarwin signing. I think they're buying into him. I've bought into him. I've only seen him get better and better each year, so I'm excited. Hopefully he can be a full-time starter, and I'd like to see what he does in the whole season.
Absolutely. I agree with you on Blake Jarwin. He's got a nice future ahead of him. He's an underrated tight end. And if he gets more options and the ability to be the number one weapon, then he could go off this year and in the future. I haven't quite had the opportunity to ask you what you think of the Cowboys' new head coach, Mike McCarthy. You like that hire? Is that a improvement over Jason Garrett? I mean, I think I know the answer.
I'm actually pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
To be honest. Mike McCarthy has always been a winner. He's always, been a defensive-minded guy. And I think he's going to go and change the culture of that defense over there in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they've been lacking, in my opinion, is, they got all the... It seems like if you look around on that field and look at who they got, it's like, how aren't you guys dominating everybody, it seems like? If you just look at the amount of playmakers they had last year at each position, like they really only had one or two weak spots on the entire field on both sides of the ball, and they just still couldn't get it done. So is that the players are just way overrated, all of them, or is it they are tired of Garrett and they're just not playing to their potential because they were wanting him gone, but they didn't know how to say it, or they, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But on the outside looking in, because the Cowboys are the type of team that will play up to their competition and then play down to their competition. Like a perfect example is last year, I believe it was week 13, Cowboys Bears on a Thursday night, I believe. A big game with the season on the line, and the Cowboys just laid an egg. Against a Bears team that had been struggling all year. And it's like, what the hell is this? You look at the Cowboys roster, and the weapons are there to contend, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What do you think about Dak Prescott getting the franchise tag? Do you like it, or what do you think? Would you rather sign him to a long-term deal, or?
I mean, I am actually very torn on the Dak subject,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. I am very, very torn because I look at it two ways. You know, I see it from, the fans and the owner's point of view, but then I also see it from Dak's point of view and my fandom. Like, I love Dak. I love his mentality.
Mm-hmm.
He's a playmaker. You know, he's definitely got some stuff he can work on and fix, but he's by far gets shit on a lot more than he should for what he's done since he's come into this league. If you look at the numbers and numbers only,
Yeah.
like he's done great. Like in his wins, and like he doesn't get credit for anything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and he's playing with a coach like Jason Garrett, and not always had the best just situation around him.
And I feel like Dak's not being used in the manner he should be used in. They're trying to force him to play a certain way and not letting him play off of his instincts.
Yeah.
And just make a play, or it seems like they've made him afraid to run. And his legs, while he's not the fastest, he's shifty.
Yeah.
He can hit a gear real quick, but he's also huge. Like if you look at his frame, not a lot of people want to just go and tackle that guy.
Man, perfect example of that is 2 years ago when the Cowboys were playing the Seahawks in the playoffs, and the Seahawks had to make a stop to get the ball back, hold them to a field goal, and they couldn't stop Dak Prescott. He took off with his legs, ran over like I believe it was Bobby Wagner, and picked up a crucial first down in that playoff game.
And I'm pretty sure that was like a 3rd and 14 or
Yeah.
something around there. And nobody even really acknowledged that play specifically. They still said, oh, Dak still almost let him come back and win. I'm like, dude, without Dak making some of the plays that he makes in these games,
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't even win some games. Like, yes, he does make mistakes, as every quarterback does. And he's not going to be, everybody's not Brady. Everybody's not, Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott. His other strengths, I think the pros to Dak outweigh the cons by far. And I feel like the franchise tag is like this. He feels disrespected because he feels like, what more does he have to prove? Carson Wentz got paid. He can't stay on the field. I haven't missed a game. I don't even miss practice. Ryan Tannehill just got paid $60 million for 8 games.
Yeah.
worth of play in Tennessee, and he didn't even have to throw for over 100 yards in some games, and couldn't.
Yeah.
Without Derrick Henry, I think they got screwed. So I feel, and like if you look, Dak, since he's come into the league, is only second to Brady in overall wins.
It's interesting how everywhere else the quarterback gets paid and the receiver and running back have a hard time getting their money. In Dallas, it seems to be the opposite, with Amari Cooper getting $100 million, Zeke getting his deal, and now Dak's on a franchise tag.
And I just feel like I hope Dak, and I feel like Dallas is also like, he does have a 1-8 record in his last, 9 games against playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
He's only won 1 playoff game, So I feel like Dallas wants to see him at least take him to the NFC Championship. But also I feel like maybe they're being hesitant because he doesn't want to sign that long-term deal.
Yeah.
I feel like Dak is being somewhat, stingy.
Mm-hmm.
After they've offered him a deal over what Goff and Wentz make, I feel like now he's just kind of like he should leave well enough alone.
Yeah. And I think that...
I feel like now he's being a little greedy.
Yeah.
But I feel like he does deserve to be paid, and there's not a lot of people that can come in and just replace him and put them in the position that he can put him in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that too often nowadays, coaches and coaching staffs try to get a player to change the way he plays to fit their system instead of building their system around what their star players do. And what Dak would do best is kind of play the Russell Wilson type role. And don't always ask him to just be a drop back quarterback. Get him on the roll, get him on the move, let him use his athletic abilities to get open passing lanes, open throwing lanes, and make it easier on him. Unlike Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott's a little bit bigger and can lower his shoulder and finish a run. And so, I think if Dallas and Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy put their heads together and get him playing in a better role and more comfortable, there's no excuse why the Cowboys shouldn't be contenders. You look at Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Tavon Austin, which we'll see if Austin's back. But a lot of weapons, Blake Jarwin, like you mentioned, Zeke Elliott. I'm a big Tony Pollard fan as well as the number 2 running back.
Yeah, I feel like he was very underutilized last year.
Yeah.
I feel like they could do damage with a 2-back set with him and Zeke in the game at the same time sometimes. That would wreck teams.
He's got great hands too, so what do you think? Did you like Robert Quinn and the way he played last year? Now he's a Bear, so I'm interested to see what your thoughts were on him last year.
I definitely loved the way Robert Quinn came in and definitely picked up the slack from D-Law. I feel like D-Law definitely underperformed this year. And I don't know if he had anything going on injury-wise. I know he's had nagging back injuries in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was keeping something quiet, but it just definitely didn't seem like the same DeMarcus Lawrence that I've seen the last, couple years prior to this one.
Yeah.
He usually wreaks havoc and, with the guy, I feel like that whole entire defensive line outside of Robert Quinn underperformed. I think a lot of people expected that defensive line to be a lot more dominant.
Yeah, I agree.
And, take a lot of pressure off that kind of weaker secondary, which is what I feel like Dallas's weakest point is right now. I feel like that defensive line as a whole underperformed outside of when Robert Quinn came in, and it seemed like he kind of picked it up a notch for them, and he led the team in sacks. And but I also feel like I wouldn't have gave him what the Bears gave him either. As an aging, I think he's going to be 31.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I mean, I don't know if you look at the way he played, before Dallas. I don't know what it was, if he just wanted out, but the last 2 teams prior, he really wasn't, what he was.
Hopefully he's hitting his stride now. What do you think about Byron Jones? I mean, Byron Jones is now the highest paid corner in football in Miami. Are you sad to see him go? I mean, I don't know if the Cowboys could afford to keep him.
No, I don't think they could. I am and I'm not. I'm really not that worried. But I will miss him just because he was definitely a shutdown corner, but he just doesn't create the turnover, and I don't know what that was about. But I had joked with my buddies because they were thinking he was talking to the Eagles, I believe. And they were like, "Man, are you guys gonna be worried if Byron goes to the Eagles?" And I'm like, "Nah, man. But guess what? He'll probably lead the league in picks." And the dude was like, "Yeah, he hasn't had an interception since 2015. I'm like, "That was my point." So because now that he's gone and goes and plays for the Eagles, he'll lead the league in interceptions. I get it. But yeah, I just, he definitely made plays, but I really feel like he doesn't really get tested.
No, they don't. They don't throw at him, which is smart.
I saw, especially, without him creating the turnovers like you would think for a true shutdown corner in the NFL. So when people are scared of like Jalen Ramsey or whatever, like he graded up with those guys as far as coverage and stuff goes. But I don't know. They don't test him enough for him not to be creating turnovers the way that other corners do, that they just know not to throw at. It's like they're scared of him for some reason, which is cool. But I'm anxious to see how he does.
Yeah, and I mean, Miami now you're gonna have to throw at somebody. They have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. What do you think about?
Actually, scary. I forgot about Xavier. I love Xavier Howard.
Me too. Big fan of his.
I think that's going to be a nasty secondary next year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see those two on the field together. What do you think about adding Gerald McCoy to those Cowboys? He's older, 32 years old, but he's still a beast.
I'm actually excited, and I hear they're talking to Clowney too. That would be interesting.
Yeah. Clowney's looking for, I saw today, he's looking for 20 mil per year. I don't think he's going to get that, but
Not in Dallas, anyways.
yeah, but I don't think he's going to get it anywhere, but he'll get his opportunity. Are you sad to see Randall Cobb go? He didn't really do too much last year.
No, and actually I've heard they're in talks with Emmanuel Sanders, and I actually think that he would fit what they were trying to get out of Cobb better in that system.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know, because if Randall Cobb would have got a chance to play with McCarthy again, so I don't know, that could have been interesting too. So yes and no, that's another bittersweet one for me.
Mhm.
But, I'm really holding out hope that they might add Dez back, especially seeing some of his workouts and how he's been coming along.
I think
since
that would be
his
smart. Yeah, I want to see Dez get another opportunity.
And he's really pushing for it. And Jerry's made weird little comments, something about like he's thought about it in the shower a lot, which I don't know. That's kind of weird. I'm like, all right, but that would definitely be awesome because Dez is my all-time favorite Cowboys receiver, man. I don't know. I know his attitude kind of sucks sometimes, but I took it for passion. He just loved winning and loves the game. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just can't handle the emotion, That's why people hated Jordan. That's why people hated Kobe. Sometimes people are just too intense for certain teammates, and that's what it is.
Yeah, a perfect example is someone like Charles Barkley, where like you saw it out of I think it was Dez Bryant, his like emotions on the sideline, and everyone just took it like, oh, he's yelling at his teammates. No, he was fired up. He's competitive. He's trying to win. There's nothing wrong with that.
Greatness.
Yeah.
He expects everything to be going 100% like he is every play.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Bears a little bit. Now, you've seen a decent amount of Nick Foles in that division. The Bears bring him in, trade a 2020 4th-round pick to bring in Nick Foles, who didn't have a great year last year, got hurt, got benched for Gardner Minshew. What's your thoughts on Nick Foles? I think he's a pretty good fit in the Bears, knowing the coaching staff. He's got ties to the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach. Do you think Nick Foles is a good fit in Chicago?
I really feel like he is. I feel like Nick Foles is definitely, you can tell, a system quarterback.
Yeah.
You look at how, he did on the Rams and on the Chiefs, and then, both of his stints in Philly, it seemed like a totally opposite guy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You were like, who is this guy? Where's he been? This is the guy that got paid to go to Kansas City and LA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like it, and hopefully I feel like that'll kick Mitch Trubisky in the ass to, get going.
See, there's a smart take. You understand the dynamics of this. Nick Foles isn't coming in here with the starting job week 1. I mean, it's going to be a quarterback competition, but a lot of Bears fans on Twitter are like, oh, Nick Foles is the guy. We're building around Nick Foles. It's not true. Trubisky's the guy. Nick Foles is that reliable veteran backup who's going to be, in my opinion, almost like a quarterback coach who is not... I don't think the Bears want Nick Foles to start week 1. They want him to come in and push Trubisky to play better, to put a fire under his ass, and, get the competition going, and hopefully that gets Trubisky improved. I think... So if we're bringing in Foles to be a backup, I love it. I think that he knows the system. He's been around the league a long time. He's a former Super Bowl MVP. And, if Trubisky struggles, if he gets hurt, any of those scenarios, Nick Foles has shown that he plays his best when he comes in off the bench and just takes over like that. So I love the move. I was kind of holding out hope we get Cam Newton, because you're always looking to upgrade, but I got no problem with this move, and I hope I know the goal is to bring the most out of Mitch Trubisky, and I hope that's what happens.
Yeah, for sure, man. Mitch Trubisky, you guys kind of took a gamble on him, you know, because he didn't have a lot of tape. You know, he had, 10 college starts, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, so you guys took a gamble on him, and I've seen flashes of, what he can do. He's just got to hone it in and put the work in and, just work on, perfecting that craft, man. You know, he's got the athleticism and the playmaking capabilities. He's just got to...
More consistency, yeah. And I feel the same way you do about Dak. Like, if the team puts him in position where he's most successful, he will have more success. Trubisky's a guy similar to Dak where he's better out in space where he can either use his legs or his arm. You can use a little pump fake, get the defender, moving, and then use your legs. Trubisky's shown a, pretty good ability to run the ball for a quarterback. And I don't, last year for some reason, he wasn't running the ball very much at all. And go back to 2018, he ran the ball a lot more and was a lot more successful. So I think not only Trubisky needs to be better, but head coach and play caller Matt Nagy needs to be a lot better as well. And hopefully we'll fix the offensive line. I love the Robert Quinn addition. I know it's, 5 years, $70 million contract, but the other guy opposite Khalil Mack last year for a couple years has been Leonard Floyd, and he always had a high potential, but he never seemed to get it going. And Quinn, had, at least last year and most part throughout his career, has shown a lot more consistency of at least getting pressure to the quarterback, whether the numbers are there or not. The quarterback pressures are there, and I like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him opposite Khalil Mack. Jimmy Graham signing, I hate it. I'm going to say that right now. I hate the move. Why are we taking the Packers trash? If Jimmy Graham can't have a good year with Aaron Rodgers, why do we think he's going to have a good year with Mitch Trubisky?
I couldn't tell you, man.
I understand. Yeah, I understand the need to go get a tight end. I would have 100% of the time preferred Eric Ebron over Jimmy Graham. He's younger. He had a much better year last year. They both suffer from drops, but Eric Ebron's at least got an upside, and I don't like the move. So,
Or you know what? Why wouldn't you guys go after a Mercedes Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, he's older, but I've always liked Mercedes Lewis, and, right now we've got, I think, like 9 tight ends on the roster, so it's a little bit overkill.
And man, Shaheen, he's been a big disappointment.
He has, and Trey Burton's been hurt. I think Trey Burton was the MVP of the offense the year we went to the playoffs, but he just can't stay healthy. So
he reminds me of Jordan Reed.
Yeah, can't stay healthy.
All the potential in the world, but
Yep. Let's go to the Detroit Lions, who are being super aggressive this free agency. They brought in, let's look here, Duron Harmon in a trade from the Patriots. What else have they done? They brought in Chase Daniels, a backup quarterback, Nick Williams, Jamie Collins from the Patriots, Vaitai, a tackle, bunch of different guys. Lions making moves. They seem to be, trying to do the Detroit Patriots is what I keep calling them. They've got a former Patriot GM, former Patriot head coach, and they're bringing in all these Patriot players. Do you think that the Lions can be successful copying the Patriot motto and style?
I don't see it.
Yeah. I think...
I don't think they really made a lot of, big moves.
They didn't. It's just pieces.
They're decent. You're adding players, but I don't think anybody who's going to, majorly impact your team outside of maybe Collins, can be a nice playmaker for your defense. But other than that, man, I'm not really happy with a lot of them. I don't think that just reminds me of the Lions. It's just mediocre. You know what I mean?
Yep. They're not going to like hearing that, though.
I'm just being honest. That's how I feel. You're making moves, but I just, hopefully it works out better than it looks like it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, Chase Daniel is a decent backup, but I don't really understand it. Like, I mean, I guess he's better than Jeff Driscoll and whatever that third string quarterback was, but I don't know. I guess you need a backup quarterback, so whatever. I think they're hoping Chase Daniel will do to the Bears what he did to the Lions, like on Thanksgiving and shit. So.
Right. I mean, man, I'm just baffled kind of by the Lions, and the way they've rebuilt their team.
Yeah.
You had Barry Sanders,
Yep.
but you had no quarterback. You had nobody to throw to. You had no receivers, so then you go for a quarterback and receiver combo like
Stafford and Megatron. Yeah.
Stafford and Megatron, and then you got no running game. Your running game is just atrocious. You haven't had 1,000-yard rush. I mean, I think they had some crazy streak. They had a 100-yard rusher. And
Yep.
I think Zach Zenner actually broke the streak against my Cowboys, to be honest.
I think it was Kerryon Johnson, actually. The one that broke the streak?
No, it was Zenner
Was
against
it?
The Cowboys
Yeah.
one year. Last year or the year before, I don't know.
Damn.
But it was some long streak. But why can't they get their offense on the same page? And get like Dallas has always seemed like they've always been good about having like a little three-headed monster. If you look at that culture over there, they had Staubach, Dorsett, and Pearson. You know what I mean? And then they had Aikman, Irvin, and Emmitt Smith. Then you got your Tony Romo, Des Bryant, and DeMarco Murray. Now you got your Amari Cooper, Dak, and Zeke. You know what I mean? Like, why can't the Lions kind of try to follow that formula a little bit? It seems like either they have a really decent passing game and a decent defense, but their running game is just so atrocious that nobody's scared of it.
Well,
or they just have the trashiest quarterback, and he can't throw the ball, so nobody's scared of it, so they're stacking the box if you got an elite running back, kind of what Saquon's dealing with right now. Reminds me kind of the second coming of Barry Sanders as far as, like, just the way he runs the ball and...
and nothing around him.
Yes.
Yeah, I think with the Lions... I think the problem with the Lions is it goes up, like, they can get players. They've proven that they can get players, but it's not consistent. 1 year they'll draft Calvin Johnson, the next year they'll draft Charles Rogers or Mike Williams. So I think with the Lions, it's, 1 year they'll draft Barry Sanders, the next they draft, like, Javid Best. Like, with the Lions... I think it's management. It goes all the way to the top to ownership. It's like they can get a good draft pick, they can hit, but then they don't know how to surround him with talent, and they don't know how to put him in a position where the team has success. They can get individual players to go off, but the team success isn't there, and it's just a lack of like GM skill, a lack of knowing how to build a team where. It's almost impossible to have guys like Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, and win 0 playoff games. They haven't won a playoff game since 1992, and I think they need new ownership, and I don't think the Patriot way is going to work in Detroit, and I think it starts, I don't know if it's the GM, because... I don't know, but the GM and head coach kind of go hand in hand, but I'm not a Matt Patricia fan. And I just don't think it's going to work. I mean, I know I'm a Bears fan, so Lion fans are going to be like, you're just hating. But the writing's on the wall. No NFC North championships, no playoff wins since 92. Something's got to change there quick, and Lion fans are getting tired of it. You can sense it.
Oh, yeah, man. They definitely need to at least sniff the playoffs again sometime soon.
Yeah.
Some of them might even be jumping ship.
Yeah. And, the second your fans start jumping ship, there's issues. Let's go to the Cardinals, who somehow picked up DeAndre Hopkins to go with Larry Fitzgerald and Kyler Murray. I mean, holy shit trade. It blew me away that the Texans gave up. You got Deshaun Watson, and you go and trade away your best receiver, probably the best receiver in the game. Mind blowing. And they didn't get all that much back for him. What was your thought when you saw it come over the news that DeAndre Hopkins was going to Arizona?
I was shocked, man.
Yeah.
I was like, for David Johnson, like, straight up,
Yeah.
like, I don't know what they were thinking. Definite win for the Cardinals, man. And my wife is a diehard Cardinals fan, so she, happy. I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
And now I'll probably end up seeing him play because I'm sure I'll be at a Cardinals game sometime soon.
Yeah.
And definitely Fitzgerald, man, still in the game, still doing it. One of my favorites to ever watch do it, man.
Yeah.
His last act, I love that guy, man. He's awesome.
Put Fitzgerald and D-Hop together, and that's what the casuals are talking about. You look at the rest of the team, you're talking about Christian Kirk, who's a solid up-and-coming receiver, Andy Isabella, who's a great slot receiver, Keyshawn Johnson, Akeem Butler. I mean, they're loaded. Max Williams at tight end, Kenyon Drake at running back, even Chase Edmonds, Kyler Murray, a good young up-and-coming prospect. Cardinals are set on offense, really. If Cliff Kingsbury can get this offense rolling on all cylinders, the Cardinals could be a team to really look out for here soon.
Oh, yeah, man. That would, definitely I think their fans are ready to see some winning, too.
Yeah.
And it'd be cool. I think, Larry's on his last, year or two in the league, so it'd be nice to see him get a shot to maybe, sniff the Super Bowl again and see how he goes out and he can go out with a bang. But
yeah,
it could definitely be a scary team or definitely ruin another team's season, you know.
Yeah, they're in a tough division.
They definitely won't be an easy out, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Are you a Kyler Murray fan? Do you think he's a future star in the NFL? He's a little undersized, but what do you think on him?
I mean, I don't know. I definitely love it, love watching him play. He's athletic and stuff, but I feel like he'll really struggle, once he's not as fast and agile as he is now, just because he is so small and his hands are small and he relies on, a lot on being able to get out of the pocket. Sometimes he almost has to because he can't even see over the line,
Yeah.
what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean, I hope that, he can become the quarterback that, he wants to be, and I feel like he can be for a while. He's just going to have to work on, his arm strength and, trying to stay in the pocket a little bit more and just trying to be a quarterback, and work on hitting some throws. But I definitely see some potential in him to be a solid player in this league for, the foreseeable future.
Yeah, going over to the Texans side, last year, I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan. I wanted the Bears to draft him. That's why I would have taken it number 3 overall. I loved the fact that when they brought in Deshaun Watson, they were teaming him up with DeAndre Hopkins. I thought that was going to be one of those, combos that last a long time. Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin type combos.
Right.
But to see it, him get out of there, I mean, last year, a lot of the time, it was Deshaun Watson to DeAndre Hopkins, and who else? You had who's that other receiver? Will Fuller was hurt a lot, and he seems to get hurt a lot. Other than that, you got like Kenny Stills and DeAndre Carter, but that's about it.
I really don't see what they were thinking, and I'm wondering maybe do they give Des Bryant a shot possibly?
Yeah, I think they need to get somebody, and maybe it'll be in the draft because this draft is supposed to have the best wide receiver class maybe in NFL history. Very deep, very good weapons, very good potential. So,
who do you think is the number 1 receiver coming out of this draft?
I really like Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. I think he's going to be the shit. I like Alabama receivers, whether it's Amari Cooper, whether it's Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. You know, you can't really go wrong with those guys, and I think Jerry Judy's going to be awesome. I do think CeeDee Lamb is going to be really good, and there's many more that I need to look at the entire list, but there's a lot of potential, a lot of weapons coming out.
I'm a really big fan of Ruggs.
Yeah.
Georgia.
Yep.
That's a guy I think is going to be, pretty special in the league. Definitely looking forward to CeeDee Lamb too, coming in, and definitely Judy. Yes, Jerry Judy. I would definitely love to have him on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But I don't think they need to worry about receiver right now. Maybe pick up you a veteran, or if you can. I mean, if a guy's there to draft, but I'm kind of hoping they get McKinney. I think an upgrade at that safety position is just set that defense over the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. How about the Vikings trading Stephon Diggs to the Bills? That was a shocker.
Yeah.
Bills are
getting about that.
Bills are getting better, and Josh Allen, I mean, he's going to have weapons to throw to for sure.
Oh, yeah, I think the Bills are, the Bills were very good last year. I don't think they're losing a lot of their team either this year at all.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense was very tough last year, and if Josh Allen really gets to play into his true potential, they're going to be a very scary team. Maybe back to those dynasty days with, almost dynasty days, but they were in the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't get over that hump, so maybe, they could be right back in that mix again. Josh Allen's got a huge cannon of an arm, and he's got some ability. He's definitely a different type of player that we haven't seen. He's a big boy, and he's fast, and if he gets to playing and gets real accurate and playing to his true potential, they're going to be a very dangerous team, I think, for, the next few years to come.
Yeah, and they got a guy that used to be a Cowboy in Cole Beasley. Were you sad to see him go? I've always been a big fan of Cole Beasley.
I mean, I was sad to see him go at first, but man, the way he was talking and he's hurt, and they didn't re-sign him, which I could see, but he was talking a lot of mess. Cowboys, and I don't know all the facts of what went down, or if he thought that they said, he had a different interpretation, that he thought he was coming back, or how it went down, but he seemed pretty salty about it for sure.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I was sad to see him go, but I think he inspired a little spark on that, receiving core. He was definitely a go-to third down option, as he's always been. Definitely a solid slot,
Speaking of Mercedes Lewis, he signs a 1-year deal with the Green Bay Packers, so they keep him.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at current moves that are happening.
Have you heard the rumors that the Rams might drop Gurley and he might head to Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I have heard that they were talking about moving on from Gurley. It makes sense in my opinion, because Gurley is not the same with that knee, and he was special. Going back to his days at Georgia, he was my favorite player in college football there for a little bit. And he was a great, he was one of my favorite players in the NFL when healthy. But it's obvious he hasn't been the same since that injury. And so it doesn't surprise me that the Rams are looking to move on from him. And we'll see where he goes. And maybe he can help a team. He's got good hands, but he's just never going to be the same, I don't think.
It's definitely sad if he can't, come back from that. He was definitely a special talent in the league and fun to watch. So, we'll see. Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with that. I mean, I don't think it's official that they've moved on yet, but I know it's been in the talks, so we'll see how that unfolds.
How would you kind of bringing this to an end? But let's talk about the draft coming up. How would you do the quarterbacks? Like, is in your opinion, if you're the Bengals, are you taking Joe Burrow number 1 overall?
Um, I think so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm scared on Tua right now. If I'm anybody up there, you know, like I definitely want to draft him, but I don't know. I'm also hesitant and scared because that's no easy injury to come back from, and we might not ever see the same Tua either.
Yeah, that was a massive hip injury.
You know, that's the Bo Jackson injury, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, so
He did get a clean bill of health from the doctor, so I think that he's going to get drafted pretty high, but we'll see if he's ever quite the same. I think a team like Miami would take Tua at 5, or whether they trade up or trade back. There's a report right now that the Chargers are considering going after Cam Newton.
that'd be interesting.
Yeah. And I think that would be good, really, because you're moving, you're in LA, you're moving into a new stadium. Why not get some hype around your team, get them believing a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. What are the biggest needs for your Cowboys in the draft? What are you looking to get?
I definitely want him to draft a safety.
Mm-hmm.
I really wouldn't mind, if they did draft a receiver, if somebody like a CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy is still there, I wouldn't mind that pick, just because you really are uncertain with who you're going to have in that third spot.
Yeah.
But that's not the biggest need, but definitely safety first, maybe another defensive end possibly. They lost a lot of depth this year. They might need to look into some offensive line depth.
Mm-hmm. Would you get a corner?
Possibly. They just re-signed Anthony Brown, and I'm gonna tell you what. Anthony Brown, to me, when he first came into the league, he played on the outside, and he actually thrived in the outside, in my opinion. And if not, you can throw Jordan Lewis on the outside. Jordan Lewis played a lot of outside corner at
Michigan.
Yeah. Yes, he is undersized, but he's very, very athletic and very, very slept on. I've been very disappointed in how he's been used in Dallas because, as you can see, anytime he's on the field, just seems like he's near the ball. He's a ball hawk. He's making tackles, making plays in the backfield, intercepting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely been a difference maker on that defense, and I think, maybe they throw Anthony Brown on the outside. Hopefully Chidobe Awuzie, he steps up and gets back to progressing. He fell off there for a minute, but towards the end of the year, he picked up his play. And then, Jordan Lewis, like I said, you can throw him in the slot or vice versa. Anthony Brown actually had one of the best slot corner grades in the league last year before he got injured.
Damn.
So, maybe you throw Jordan Lewis out there, or, almost, maybe if you did want to draft a corner, you could almost throw Jordan Lewis at safety, free safety.
Yeah.
And put Xavier Woods at strong safety, but I don't know. There's a lot of different things they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe draft another tight end to come up behind Jarwin because they don't really have a lot of depth there. But I think they really just need to focus on, that defense and, get some depth on the defensive line. Definitely get a safety. And then, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? It's a big national media narrative that, the Cowboys hurt themselves by not having a true GM because Jerry Jones and the Jones family do all the personnel decisions. And I guess Mike McCarthy is going to have a bigger role in that. Are you fine with that, or do you think it would help the Cowboys to get a legit GM in there?
I really feel like Jerry needs to take a step back a little bit. I feel like he tries to do too much,
Mm-hmm.
and he has his hand in too much, and he doesn't really let the coach, you know, do what he's there to do. I feel like he has too much say in, you know, who's on the field and what happens. And I think Mike McCarthy's changing that a little bit. I think
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's no pushover, in my opinion. You know, Jason Garrett, and, you know, he's been mediocre since he's been there. So you've had all this talent. You know, I feel like, you know, you had Tony Romo and Des Bryant and Miles Austin and
Yep.
DeMarco Murray. You know, DeMarco Murray, you know, was one of the top backs in the league when he left Dallas.
Yeah.
What happened after he left? Dallas, he was a leading rusher. He ran for 1,800 yards and a, you know, franchise record. And, you know, he's just never, you know, I feel like he's never been one of those coaches that plays to win. He plays not to lose.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's scared.
it's about time to see him out of there.
Yeah, you know, he's been nothing but mediocre since he's been there. I think it's going to change. Everything's going to change. I feel like McCarthy's going to, you know, change the atmosphere in Dallas. And, you know, I think it's going to be a good thing. You know, it might not happen this year. You know, they might not, you know, be Super Bowl this year, but I think they definitely have a shot. You know, if they get it going, they have all the talent and all the, you know, players to do what they need to do. So if they can just get to meshing, and, you know, they could be a real dangerous team. So I'm definitely anxious to see how, you know, McCarthy incorporates into it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. They're too good to be missing out on the playoffs. They need to at least be, you know, in the playoffs at the end of the year. And I really like the McCarthy hire. I think it's a real good fit there in Dallas. It takes some of the power away from Jerry Jones and puts it in a football guy. And I think the Cowboys will be better and are better suited to have success in the future. So, good moves by Dallas. I think their future is bright. Hopefully, my Bears' future is bright as well. If we can get some better play out of the quarterback position and the receivers can catch the ball and our play callers can call better plays. So we'll see what happens. But really good having you on, Chris. It was good to talk some free agency with you and just talk some football. Good to catch up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good stuff. So we'll keep it coming. I'll get you back on at some point as we get closer to the season, and have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man. Thanks.
Yep. See you, dude.